mug, McMahon.
It's definitely Lucky. If I know Kevin, it's Lucky Charms.
I don't see it. It looks like it's an oat-based cereal, but I don't see any mallows.
You can't say almost and then pull up a far superior cereal.
CTC, baby.
How is that almost Lucky Charms?
Not even close.
You said almost.
That was like going to be that's the other box I have.
Okay. All right, I got that.
I'm not saying the cereals are similar. The choice was almost.
Gotcha.
Hello, Coley.
Hi, Kevin.
How are you doing this week?
Well, it's the second time I've seen Clem this week, so it's not a bad week.
That's a good week. That's always good. Brightens the day, brightens the mood.
I've been on 2 podcasts with Coley this week. One with one of his favorite things in the world, and one about, or maybe his favorite thing in the world, and one I'm going to say with one of his least favorite things in the world right now, the Boston Red Sox.
Well, you know what's funny? Like, yes, but also at the same time, no, because you look up and like we have a chance to split this series, and we're basically in the same boat, and it's like, wait a minute. We both kind of stink.
I don't want to split. I was furious when Cespedes was watching slow curveballs right down the middle. He was laughing at fastballs right down the middle, then swinging at you knew he was going to swing at that next fucking pitch.
Last night was when I officially realized I have like no faith in him anymore in a clutch spot. I was like, there's no shot. I'd rather almost anybody else be up right now. It's terrible.
Like he could have thrown like underhand and rolled it, and he was going to swing at that second pitch just because he missed the first.
Just because he missed the first one, yeah. Absolutely.
I hate that. This shit drives me nuts.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think also we've been kind of talking about this throughout the week on all our Mets stuff. You can kind of understand since you had a taste of him. But I mean, the last time he was good was 5 years ago. Like, it's not like, a couple seasons ago. Like 5 years was like his big, that was his big Mets breakout. And now he's like 2 surgeries later. So he's probably just not a good baseball player anymore.
Can't imagine. No.
Right? I mean,
I'm sure this doesn't happen on your broadcast, but on the Red Sox broadcast, they always bring up the fact that he was here for like 5 games. Like he had this long storied career and then they'll be like, and we traded him for Porcello, who's also on the Mets and stinks now. It's like, who cares? We know.
A lot of retread scrubs right now. Where are you at? I mean, big picture, you all should have like canceled this season before it even started. But where? I did.
Yeah, no, this season, like I'm furious we won last night because I want the number 1 pick in the draft. I don't even know how you go about getting the number 1 pick in the baseball draft.
Does tanking even work?
I don't know because like I tweeted it out. I was like, lose every game, get the number 1 pick. I had a couple people being like, because of this year, like it's not even just record based on this year. So I don't even know what fucking equation we need to pull off to get this number 1 pick. I don't know anyone like the number 1 pick in baseball is not even like a guarantee to be
good. You might not even like make
like a Todd Van Poppel or some shit. Like he's just someone who stinks. So like I don't even like I just want it though. Like I just want the number 1 pick because everyone tells me our farm system sucks and we need prospects. All right, well let's go get the best fucking one.
And the thing is with the baseball draft, like John Henry may be like, listen, we don't want to pay the guy the most amount of money, so don't even draft the best player out there. Right. Draft the guy who's going to be the cheapest and still be kind of good enough. So
where are you at with the ownership group? I was getting pretty sick and tired of watching Red Sox fans cry. I know what's going on is not what you want to see as a fan, but overall, you've had more championships than anybody in baseball in the last couple decades, so fuck off.
That's why I'm so furious, Kevin. It's such a pivot in the opposite direction. I cannot understand it. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like every day I wake up and take a piss, and then one morning I woke up and just stabbed myself in the eye. Like, what kind of strange pivot in opposite direction is this?
Okay, yes, I understand that, but I don't know. Was this the first time they were really in danger of the luxury tax? Like, if it's the first time they've ever said, let's fucking get under this threshold and like kind of start over. I mean, at some point you're allowed to do that. No, you have to just keep going forever.
No, that was my problem. There was a way for them to be cheap and save, Kevin. $10 million is all we're talking about here. Everyone talks about this fucking luxury tax, like John Henry was going to have to come to everyone's door and turn us upside down and shake out our pockets and go through our couch cushions. $10 million. That's it. And I understand.
if you're over, it's like you end up paying like double your payroll or something like prohibitively expensive. No,
it like keeps getting worse every year. But all I'm talking about is this year. It was like I think it was 13, and you get like some sort of draft comp, like your draft pick goes down like 10 spots and some shit, and you can't. So you don't have as much international pool money, which you can fucking trade for anyways. It doesn't matter. Like, that was my problem. However, if they truly did just want to get under the luxury tax, they could have taken 1 for 75 Andrew Benintendi, stapled him to David Price, traded them away, got literally nothing back in return, and that would have done it, and you still would have had like the second best player in baseball.
If you're just looking to cut costs, don't start with the best guy in baseball.
No,
start trimming the fat.
Right, like everyone thinks like I'm just completely ignoring the luxury tax. I don't care about the luxury tax. That part's true. However, if like we are all going to be all of a sudden like economists and be like, yeah, no, let's be smart with our money, then yeah, let's be smart with our fucking assets too. Like, what are we talking about?
No, I'm with you on that, man. I would be furious. I still am furious because I really thought I do still believe Steve Cohen will own the Mets, and I really think the first thing he would have done, the big splash, would have been Mookie. So I think we all lose out on that one. So fuck you guys for that.
Well, if you guys could do me a favor and just grossly overpay for George Springer so we can't, I'd appreciate it.
Well, I'm sure that's coming. You know what'll be so ironic, Clem? That will be like we'll get Steve Cohen and we'll be like, let's go fucking spend, and they'll spend it on a guy we don't really like, and we'll be complaining. We'll still be complaining. Look at same old Mets, even with the money.
And then we start calling, his uncle is Stevie Cohen, the new James Dolan. He just pays for overpriced guys that just clog up the cap space.
But I really believe that Steve Cohen will just spend his way through it. Like, if he gets a bad contract, he'll buy another one. He'll just like go through the fire rather than try to put it out.
Be careful of that luxury tax, Kevin.
That would be. I want Steve Cohen to come in and be like, I don't give a fuck about the luxury tax. Our payroll is $335 million. Pay whatever penalties you want. I don't give a shit. So this week, I mean, the Red Sox pitching, atrocious. Mets pitching, like, held it together, but I think in the long run we're going to be in very similar boats with the starting pitching. But I think these teams are kind of similar. Like, good names in the lineup, good offense, I don't even say bad pitching, completely fucking unknown pitching. We don't even know who these fucking guys are really. Yeah. And then the bullpen is, like a crapshoot for both teams. So I feel like we are, walking the same path for this season here.
I think the only like thing that's very different is like the Red Sox don't have a starting pitcher like on the Red Sox that they actively hate like the Mets do with DeGrom. Like, what is that? Why do they hate him so much?
Oh, yeah, the team, you mean? Yeah, I mean,
why do his teammates not like him?
It is at this point, it's laughable. Like, and the joke became like, yeah, the Mets don't score for DeGrom, and now it's like, yo, the Mets don't fucking score for DeGrom, and he is the most professional motherfucker out there. Never says a word. Always is just like, nah, like I got to be better. It's like, no, you don't have to be better. It's impossible for you to be better.
Can I give you guys a couple stats here? I just saw this morning. Jacob deGrom has a 2.04 ERA in 66 starts since the beginning of 2018. The Mets are 29-37 in those games. DeGrom has 21 wins in that span. So 21 of 66 games he's won with a 2 ERA.
Honestly, it used to be frustrating. Then it became like super annoying. Now it's just straight up sad because Jake would probably have a shot at like some records and shit. He could be like the next and last 300 game winner if the Mets ever fucking did anything for him. And instead, he's not going to crack 100.
I was going to say, was he going to hit triple digits at all?
Yeah. I mean, like when people were talking this year, joking about him being 0-0 and winning the Cy Young, it's on the fucking table. It's 12 starts. Jake deGrom would definitely have 12 electric starts with no decisions. It's absolutely possible.
This is why, like, the people who I argue with for like all-time pitchers when they point to like Pedro's 216 wins, it's like, yeah, he was the king of a no decision in a 1-0 game that the bullpen gave up the one. Like I saw that as a little kid with Clemens. I saw it again with Pedro, and now it's like deGrom and King Felix had it for the longest time. Like, what the fuck happened? Like, why?
It really is. I don't know. At some point, I start to think like maybe it is they don't approach the plate like with the same urgency or the same way, or like it just can't be chance anymore. It's ridiculous.
That almost makes me feel like you'd go up there more relaxed.
Right. Like, hey, if I get a hit, well, if I do, if I don't, no big deal because we got Jake and you fucking park one. Instead, I mean, I wonder if he like at least goes home to like his wife or has a brother he calls on the phone and he's just like, ah!
I could understand if like Jake was like this guy that like just yelled at people. Like when Dave's in the room, Dave. When Portnoy's in the room, we know Portnoy's in the room, and you don't want to fuck up with Portnoy in the room. Jake just seems like the guy who like is the other way. He just doesn't care. He's like, hey man, you guys. Last night, Coley actually got to see it. I don't know if they showed it on the Red Sox broadcast. Jake was pissed. Jake was shaking his head at his catcher. The umpire, I think he was upset he couldn't block those 2 pass balls. And it was for the first time we saw Jake DeGrom looking like a human on the mound and a human walking into the dugout. He was
that's weird, by the way. Like a couple wild pitches. He gave up those back-to-back doubles. And it was only like a 2-run inning. But I was like, what just happened? Like that felt catastrophic. I was like, he must be injured. He must be doing this on purpose. What's going on? Because a crooked number from DeGrom. What was it? It was like 33 1/3 scoreless dating back to last year. And I mean, anytime he gives up anything, it's stunning. So, I mean, I guess tip your cap to the Red Sox. Your lineup's not the problem. I mean, they weren't exactly stellar this week, but you do have like the names there.
It's like I won't call the lineup a problem, but there's just a big hole at the top, and I don't know who's supposed to replace it. Like Benintendi is a really good hitter. You wouldn't know it by this year, and I think it's like setup closer. Like not every setup pitcher can be a closer. I don't think every good hitter can lead off, and I think that's the problem with Benintendi. Obviously, it's a tiny sample size, but the problem with the fucking sample size is we haven't needed to think about the leadoff hitter for the last 5 fucking years. We had the best maybe of all time at the top of our order, just at leading off, and now we're scrambling with JD hitting fucking second, which I hate. Do you guys do that with Alonso too?
I didn't
he was there for a little bit.
Yeah.
Stupid. It's fucking stupid.
He's had Robinson Cano in the 3 spot until we finally took his corpse and dragged it down to the bottom of the lineup.
Dude, I can't do Cano anymore because you know what the Mets broadcast Coley keeps putting up his career numbers. His career numbers are insane. I mean, I knew he was a good player, but he was no lower than 6th in every major statistical category, mostly 3rd active in all offensive categories. He led the 2010s in hits. I mean, they keep putting up these amazing things that just make me want to kill myself even more because he is a shadow of all of that. It's insane.
I still get worried when he gets in the box. Like I was pumped.
You shouldn't.
Yeah, but like I had to deal with him way more than you did.
Yeah.
You dealt with all those stats. You saw all those
stats. Yeah. And I used to have to be like, well, Pedroia is better because of defense, of course. And that was stupid. But last night when he was up there, I was like, yep, we're done. And then he just like weakly flies. Like I was like, what was that? Who's that guy?
The king of ground out double plays right now. It's insane. It's GIDP Cano. It is like fucking clockwork. And he is slower than goddamn Paul LaDuca right now. He is the poster child for just like pack it in. It's done. Let me get my paycheck and go home.
Well, it's insane because he even like I feel like he's not slow in the field. You know what I mean? Like that weak grounder that like got caught in the infield grass that he caught and just like shoveled with his glove, and it was just like, oh, Cano's healthy. And then he grounds out to short, and he's like, I'm not even gonna try.
You don't even like see him on the screen when they cut to first base because he is just not trying.
I said to Kyle during that double play that one, like that broke me. At 6 games this season, I've been broken by Robinson Cano. It seemed like he had to do 3 dizzy bats before he ran to first base because he was so far out of the picture. I'm like, what was he doing during the whole time? They I think like the second baseman kind of had to like move a little, and he like stumbled a bit and threw the ball to second. And in that time, Cano still hadn't gone into the part of the screen that is caught by a camera. It's fucking. It's tough, man. It's tough.
What, Coley, what else jumped out at you about the Mets? I know Eckersley came himself over Alonso. There's cum everywhere. But anything else good that jumped out at the Mets about you?
I like Dom Smith.
Yeah.
I feel like
he's our Clint Frazier. We just like because of Cano and Cespedes, we just can't like find a spot for him, and it's a fucking tragedy.
No,
What?
I feel like you have a spot for him.
Well, the DH is allowing us to like mix it up now, but like it's crazy that like Jeff McNeil can't play his natural position. Dom Smith doesn't have a position, and we have these two old guys who are just like fucking everything up that we need to use the DH for. But I mean, especially if you can put Lonzo on the bench, so you don't have to worry about his glove. If you could DH him and then put Dom out there, it's probably the better way to use DH.
I think that's the thing. Like, I didn't watch a ton of Mets last year. I hate to break that to both of you, but I don't think I realized Alonso just had no idea what he was doing out in the field.
Somehow last year we knew he didn't have a glove coming into like his career, and then last year it just seemed to be fine. And I think it was just a fluke. He
was like scared of some of the throws that were coming his way yesterday.
Yeah,
like they weren't like the easiest scoops, but they were also like not hard for a major league.
No, he was doing kind of like the indecisive with his glove. Do I go under? Do I go over?
Yeah.
But Kyle said yesterday on the post game that last year when you're bashing 53 home runs, you might just everything's loosey goosey. I'm good to go. He stumbles out of the gate, and that kind of translates to everything in your game. But yeah, that's definitely going to be a problem. But Dom Smith, I mean, he's like a fan favorite now because it's like he represents what's wrong with the Mets, what's good about them, but also like, fuck, what do we do with him? So yeah, he's the real deal. Also played college ball with Chuck.
That I did know. Yeah. I do think, because Chuck talks about it incessantly.
Chuck loves it.
I feel like when I think of like when the Mets were really good in my lifetime, which is not a large opening of a window, but when it happened, you guys had a swaggy premier shortstop. I think that's what the team's missing. That's what you guys fill that hole. The rest will fall into place.
I mean, Rosario is he's shown
right
here and there, but he needs to take a step. Like it's either I think this year whether we determine like you're going to be a real deal or if it's just going to be like another placeholder. Center field and shortstop is like and we haven't had a center fielder since Beltran. And no position, by the way. Our third baseman stinks. Our second baseman's dead. Our first baseman's bad. None of our positions are good, but those premier ones are definitely a glaring hole.
Well, and this is what's going to happen, Coley. You bring up a good point. So the guy last night, Jimenez, he got his first hit, and then he got picked off of first. He's supposed to be a decent prospect. What we will do is we will then say, all right, let's try him at shortstop, and now let's move Amador Rosario to center field, like the most important defensive position on the field, as he has J.D. Davis in left, who then gets who's Dom Smith is playing left as well. Neither are even close to being average left fielders, and we're just going to keep this fucking circle of madness going until finally, like, everyone gets hurt and we have like Jose Reyes somehow back.
Well, again, this is the franchise that when Jose Reyes first came up, moved him for Kaz Matsui. So, anything's on the table.
Hey, you got to try things, Kevin. You gotta try things. I think the move is obviously you can't sign Mookie anymore, but rich uncle Steve comes in, and then you just throw all the money at Lindor.
Yep. I mean, it's going to be nuts that he's even available.
Crazy.
The bidding is going to be absolutely crazy. I feel like actually Mookie kind of fucked him because he kind of set the bar lower than expected. But I think if I would, could you imagine a shortstop like that, Coley? Clem?
I'll tell you, Coley, that hadn't even processed my brain. I am now fully on the phone. I am so much on this train right now.
I'm sorry to do that to you.
What year is it up after next year or this year?
I think it's this. I mean, we all have computers.
No, it's not. He's not a free agent after this year because I looked at the.
It's almost good though because Steve's got to get here, get settled, and then break out the checkbook.
Yeah,
and we also
2022.
We have the stuff where we can make a trade though. We trade for him. You kind of do like the Mookie package. It's not like you're not trading for Lindor in like 10 years. You're trading for the right to pay him a shitload of money. So the price will go down. But luckily for us, like I just said, we have like 7 guys who do not fit in the way our roster is constructed. So we could move guys that we usually wouldn't want to move, whether it's a JD, Dom, whatever's left in our minor leagues that Brody hasn't shipped out for bums. And we go from there. So, Coley, I am officially I'm in love with Francisco Lindor. Now I'm just going to fucking fall in love with him. I'm going to have a crush.
What do you think seeing your boy Porcello again? He's such a weird fucking case. Like, that stat of how he's the only pitcher in the last 40 years to win a Cy Young, and then I think never have a vote in any other season.
Make an All-Star game.
Fucking vote. It was crazy. But Ricky
sounds right. Yeah, it's
yeah.
I don't know who would have
not having the 1 year. So, but yeah, I mean, did he pitch in the series or did he pitch right before it?
He pitched right before it. I'm pretty sure.
I
remember, being like, just give him back. Like he's still.
Right. That's what I said. I remember saying when the Sox come to town, just send Porcello back with them, and I don't think either team would even notice. Like, oh shit.
I'd be thrilled. I was actually more furious that you guys. I was asking Clem about this the other day. That you guys got Waka, who I know hadn't been as elite as advertised the past couple of years in St. Louis, but that's like the kind of like we've got fucking Martin Perez as our number 2. Yeah. Like this guy was just sitting out there, and then I asked Clem when you signed him, and it was like that time where we didn't have money, which is fucking infuriating to say that as a. That's why I'm furious, Kevin. You understand? Yeah. If we can't sign a Michael Waka when no one else in the fucking world wants him, that's a fucking problem.
Yeah, that's not great. Waka is the exact type of guy when you're in the spot the Sox or the Mets are in, where it's like, let's take a flyer on a guy who's not that old, who's like a little bit injured, but could, recapture that like star status. So I'll take it every time. But then also, we're not exactly thrilled with it either because it represents the like half measures that we always do, where it's like, yeah, let's just put a Band-Aid on it. It's like, yeah, we're going to have to do this again in a year or two when he's proven to be totally washed out. So what the fuck?
Yeah, we're going to have to do it for our entire rotation other than Jake DeGrom. We don't have anyone under contract next year, do we? I think everyone is on the last year of their deals right now. It's fucking craziness.
I would love Steve Cohen to come in, buy 4 starters, and we feel like we have a whole new rotation, motherfuckers.
It's cool. So Kyle raises this point too, and I think it's going like, how should we proceed with Rick Porcello? Because I think there are I saw all the Ricky Raindrops. I see all the nicknames. Red Sox fans, as soon as we signed him, it was like, I'm so happy for you guys, and I'm also so terrified for you guys at the same time. It was one of those kind of things. So it's just you strap in. Do you know what you're getting by the first inning, what you're going to get with Ricky, or is it kind of like
I will say when he's locked in, it is pretty noticeable. It's never like first batter of the game or anything like that, but you'll pick up on it. I don't know if you will over a 60-game season. Did he sign a 1-year deal or more?
I would imagine it's 1.
Yeah,
I think it's 1. Yeah,
but then I wouldn't even be too worried about it. It's a little upsetting that there is a DH for you guys this year because his hitting was electric when he was here. He was hitting like doubles and shit, like off the wall. Like he was killing the Nats. I think it was last year, 2 years ago. No, it had to have been 2 years ago. There was nothing to write home about last year. So yeah, I mean, he's like Beckett when he was in Boston was the classic every other year guy, and it looked like Porcello was gonna be that, and then he just had that year, precisely 1 year. Yeah. But he's fiery, you can tell he gives a fuck out there.
Well, that's why I was so pissed when he got absolutely crushed, because I know he's kind of been in the Barstool world a little bit. Seems like a cool dude. I mean, I got a call like I see it, but I was like, please don't be bad. Please don't be bad. Oh, that was the worst fucking case scenario. So we'll try again. Try again next week, Rick.
He gives a fuck, which I care about in my players. You know what I mean? Like when he sucks, he's not like, well, I got paid. Like, he's like, no, I fucking sucked. Like he's a little bit of a psycho.
That was actually his quote after the game. He's like, I actually wanted to do this my whole life, be a Met and just perform, and I just got absolutely and it was on national TV. The fucking Chipper Jones was announcing the game. John Smoltz is joining in. Everyone in baseball is kicking our corpse, and I was like, oh, haven't felt this in 1 year. It was nice to have baseball come back just in time for this bullshit.
Where are you even concerned with or thinking about where the Red Sox end up, in the division, wins, losses? Are you just whatever?
Extremely concerned, Kevin. I told you I want the number 1 pick in the draft. I'm very concerned. Would
you sign for 5 and 55 right now, a colossally embarrassing season, but you get your number 1 pick?
Yeah, because that's way more interesting than 20 and 40 or something.
There's going to be so many records like that are just 28 and 32 or whatever. It's just blah. And this is your total season. Who fucking cares?
The only thing I'm truly invested in, because the number one pick's like just funny to me more than anything. The thing I'm truly invested in is August 31st, because that's when the fucking luxury tax actually resets. If we don't even get to that, I'm going to be furious. Furious.
But so, like, are you expecting next year to just be like a bonanza?
No, because that would piss me off even more, because that would show me we have zero plan. If we got into this cap hell by signing fucking really stupid contracts, and then the second we get a bit of air, we just dive right back below and just start handing out Hanley and Pablo contracts again. Again, I don't care about giving out those contracts
as long as they don't care about it.
Right. You can't then all of a sudden care 3 years later.
Right.
Like, either throw money like we have been for the past 20 years, or have Heim do his Tampa shit.
In Heim?
And then be calculated about when we give out these deals.
I'm just saying, you give a guy Heim Bloom a bunch of money to work with. Usually, I think it's going to work out pretty well. I think he's got to have a plan. I know. I mean, we had a shot at him, and we fucking totally
blew it.
So I remember being super jealous, and I mean, it's crazy to do it with Mookie. It's frustrating.
That wasn't him though.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking, like, these guys, like, when you come in and you're kind of like, I got a plan that I'm going to put out there, and it doesn't involve having a $400 million contract day one. And as annoying as it is, but I didn't even realize it wasn't him. Either way,
it was him in the sense that he had been hired, but it was a directive from up top. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't like, I need to get this fucking Betts character out of here. Like that. Like, he brought in Peraza, who I was high on. Signed fucking someone in the bullpen who's worked out. Like, I liked his draft strategy. I can't say I liked his draft because he took 2 fucking high schoolers and a pitcher from Hawaii. You know what I mean? But I liked
He did draft you Blaze Jordan, right?
Correct. That was part of the strategy. Like, he took a high school second baseman in the first round, who, like, people were like, he should have went in the 4th. And then in the 4th, he took, like, this baseball draft so fucking stupid. Like, we took the 1st round player in the 4th round, we took the 4th round player in the 1st round, and then paid them the opposite money. Like, why didn't you just take the other guy in the 1st fucking round? What the fuck?
It is so dumb. It's like the last thing you can rely on in sports, I think, is the baseball draft. Like, for every, like Tom Brady, the 199th pick, there's like 1,000 of those in baseball. Mike Piazza was in like the 48th round or some shit. Right? Totally preposterous.
I've told this story a million times on Section 10 and probably every other show I've ever been on, but there was a Red Sox rookie scout back in the day who went to a Kansas City community college to scout a shortstop. That shortstop hit, I want to say, 2 grand slams and turned an unassisted triple play in the same game. And he went back, and during the draft, he was literally pounding the table. He was like, listen, it's round like 37. Like, just take them. And they were like, we'll think about it. We took Freddie Sanchez, and then the very next pick was the guy this guy wanted to draft. Goes by the name of Albert Pujols. We could have had Pujols, Manny, and Ortiz in the middle of the fucking lineup, Kevin.
God, imagine that. Woo!
Pujols with the monster?
Oh.
You kidding me?
They casually mentioned that last night on the broadcast. They're casually like, Albert Pujols hit his 651st home run last night, and I was like, just hearing that number, I was like, oh my god, I forgot about that fucking monster.
Like, he was so good that he was pacing for 800 home runs, and then when we realized he wasn't going to get it, and he's had a couple bad years, you're like, that Pujols contract. But then you come back around the other side where it's like, it's still 650 home runs, man. Fucking incredible.
And when you take into account he's really like 53 years old.
Right.
Incredibly
exactly.
Amazing. But yeah, the baseball draft's fucking really dumb. But I like the strategy. And if he's gonna be, that was what I was worried about, that they just hired him to be the scapegoat for the Mookie trade, and then they were going to kick him to the curb and bring in someone else and then go back to doing the same shit. If he's really here to be like, no, I actually have an eye for talent, I can do that kind of shit on the cheap, I can actually have a homegrown pitcher for the first time since I don't even fucking know who our last homegrown, like, good pitcher was.
Yeah, seriously. What would that be? Who would that seriously be?
Like, I know, like, Papelbon was like a closer, and he tried to start for a while, but it's not a long list. Like, we import.
Yeah.
I don't even fucking know. Like I'm sure if Jared were here, he'd be like, "Oh, it was this guy." Like
what a fucking midget that loser is, huh?
Yeah.
The only reason I don't want to see the Red Sox. If you want to see the Red Sox struggle, I'll root for the Red Sox to struggle, not just for your number one pick, but Section 10. When you guys, it's either when you're really good or really bad. That's when magic truly happens. That's when suns out, guns out, come out. I don't know what you guys have.
Explain to me tied in the 8th, because I didn't quite follow that, but it looks electric.
It was so much fun. It looks
so much fun. We had the round table throughout the first half of the pandemic. Every Wednesday, sponsored by Gosling. Shout out Gosling's Rum, Bermuda's only rum. And that was like, it was just enjoyable to do every week. We got to talk to people who support, just other Red Sox fans. And people were like, well, it's ending. So like the people didn't want that part of it to end.
Right.
And so just randomly talking about it, we were like, well, if it's tied in the 8th, because I think we're going to name a drink after it. I don't remember that part of it, but anytime it's tied in the 8th, we go live. And
it happened like the next day, right?
No. Because
I thought this was like you came up with it 2 days ago, and then last night it was tied in the 8th.
No, but we did do the round tables every Wednesday, and the first tied in the 8th was on a Wednesday, so it was kind of serendipitous in that sense. But the second it becomes untied, stream ends. Like at that the very second it becomes untied, we're out.
The clip I saw of you, I don't think you said a word. You were just sitting there watching, and Jared and Steve were talking. Then it was like, all right, that's it for tied in the 8th. You're like, see you later, guys.
I was full. I have FiOS, and I guess FiOS went out in the entire Northeast, so my internet wasn't working, and I had just typed up a blog that wasn't even saving in the back end. It just kept saying like no network. So, and then I was on my phone because my laptop it's useless. It doesn't have fucking internet. So I was furious. Yeah.
You could tell. I was like, is that Coley? What's going on?
I just wanted my internet because like the fucking router said I had internet. Like my computer was like, yep, I'm connected. I was like, well, then fucking work, you piece of shit. So I wasn't happy. But then,
you know what this is, Clem? This is dad rage. This is Coley getting inanimate object rage where you just want to break the router or the object, whatever appliance isn't working. It's finally setting in, McMahon.
Well, listen, I've had dad rage since I was about 3 years old. That was not a new feeling for me last night. I was furious. But then but it started working again, and then the Mets came up with a chance to tie it. We would have went re-live. You can keep coming back if it's still tied in the 8th.
Well, tonight, I want a Mets win, but more than even that, I want the game to be tied in the 8th. That's all I'm rooting for tonight. That's all I care about. My hook and my crook, get it tied in the 8th.
On board with like, you get like a free fucking taco type of thing. If it's tied in the 8th, kids of Boston get something or whatever. Tied it to charity. Tied in the 8th is going to be an electric theme for you guys.
Yeah, I'm excited. If it is tied in the 8th, I'll send it your guys' way so you can hop on if you.
It would be an honor. It would be an honor.
God, that'd be so great. We have another 14 games or so with the Sox this year, right? So we might be able. Isn't there don't you play 20 games with the AL East or some? Oh no, I'm away. That's 20 total games.
I think we do have a few more with them, but I don't think it's that many. But tied in the 8th would be an honor.
A dream come true.
We also don't fully know what happens if it's tied and the 8th ends. Like we don't know if we just keep going. Like it seems like extra innings aren't as long anymore because of this new second base rule.
Crazy.
Yeah, that I don't like. The DH universal I do. Guys starting on second is bananas.
I think it was Buster Olney put out an article today that was like, stop bashing the rule. It's pretty cool. You can have a leadoff 2-run home run. You can have all these he listed all the things that are stupid about it that you can have because of the rule as reasons to stop bashing it, and everyone was like, you just listed all the things that suck about this rule.
Yeah, how is a leadoff 2-run home run any cooler than a leadoff home run? Like,
right. It's like a dumb oxymoron. That's all it is, Buster. Nobody fucking likes this rule. I can't imagine being a pitcher. You know how hard it is to, you give up a leadoff single ordinarily, and it's like, all right, shit. I made a good pitch. He broke his bat. He got on base. No big deal. In this, it's like, all right, this game's over. Like they score and they have the lead in extra innings, and you're not going to tie it. I know you have the same opportunity in the bottom half, but it just doesn't feel that way when someone takes the lead in the 10th. You know,
you also like you can't go out there and pitch like from the windup if there's a guy just chilling on second, like it fucks with everything.
Right, it's so fucking dumb. All right, McMahon, good stuff. We're gonna babble on about this fucking Mets ass team, so we'll let you go. But hopefully, we'll see you tonight in the 8th inning.
I very much hope so. I need a tie. I need it. Although you guys will probably be up like 7-0 in the first, so I can't imagine it happening.
Listen, unstoppable force versus immovable object of mediocrity right now, so you never know.
Is it Perez tonight? Dear God, please don't be Perez. It has to be.
It's very much Perez. We have Steven Matz, though, who we will know by the first pitch what Steven Matz we're getting. So we could be 7-7 in the 8th, no matter what.
Steven Matz could mow down the first 14 batters. And then he'll get a bad ball 4 call, and a batter walks, and the wheels.
Oh, he's one of those.
He is one of those. He has
no
mental fortitude with like, oh yeah, that was a seeing eye single. Well, then why don't we just give up? Why don't we just back it in?
I'll turn this whole fucking car around.
That's exactly what it is. He turns the car around, goes back home. It's crazy.
Steven Matz is the old joke on The Simpsons when the horse and carriage goes off the side of the mountain and explodes somehow, even though it's not a car. That's what Steven Matz could do at any. He just explodes at any given moment. It's incredible.
I love that. I love that.
All right, we'll talk to you, pal.
All right, boys. See ya.
Clem, what else do we see? I mean, Cano is absolutely infuriating. I don't have any more faith in Cespedes.
Game 6. I'm with you, though. I'm 100% with you on both these guys. I'm 100% with you.
Yeah, I needed to see more like what Cespedes is going to do exactly what he's done. He's going to hit home runs. And, like, you'll look up and he'll probably have, a chunk of homers, whatever's going to be a good season this year, fucking 14 or something like that. But it's going to be mixed in between like 25 at-bat droughts, And Cano is just like a stone statue. It's not going to be fun to watch that.
It's a lot easier to live with a guy who's like home run or nothing, or a guy like Cano who's making $1 billion and just grounding into double plays nonstop, when your bench is filled with like Punch and Judies or guys who middle infielders. It's like we have Dom Smith, who could become like an all-star down the road if he had a place to play. We have Jeff McNeil, who's playing out of position, butchering third base and like bouncing balls to Alonso, and should be playing second base. And it's all that stuff lined up. And it's like, and the thing about Cespedes is like, I was saying to Kyle, the fact we started the game with Dom Smith, then went on to J.D. Davis in left field, and Yoenis Cespedes is supposed to be a left fielder, and none of those guys can really play left field. It just drives you fucking insane. Mm-hmm. So I've every time any Cespedes or Cano come up, I just lose my mind. I have to say, though, I said this last night with Kyle. I wanted to say it to you as well. Having Robinson Cano on this team is like the totem from Inception. Like the guy who makes all the money that you're just wheeling out there, and every fan is losing their mind because there's a better person in the lineup that should be playing his position. It's what we have experienced as Mets fans our entire lives. And it should be the thing that Uncle Stevie finally wipes out, where we're not taking on just fucking corpses and trading away, young studs for guys like that. Cano is like, that's the only thing I'll say about this. It's like, there's a little bit of normalcy with a guy like Robinson Cano. He's our Jason Bay.
Yeah, he keeps us grounded. It's like when you watch McNeil get a hit and like that little rally kind of where however they got 2 men on, I think it was a walk, a single. Alonso comes up with the clutch bloop, like, yeah, this is our new team, and then it's like, no, Cano stinks, fucking Cespedes ruins it. You gotta have that little reminder of where you came from and where you still basically are. That's the thing. I mean, I let myself get my hopes up, but it's just like you look at this bullpen. Yeah, I mean, all right, I'll give it to Lugo. He's allowed to be human, but like Wilson, after being used a handful of times in the early going, he didn't have it, and like those are names you can rely on in the perfect instances. I feel like Smith and Wilson, and even I guess you work Familia and Betances in, but like when it comes down to it, when you're halfway through a season, I don't know if those arms are really going to be reliable. And then you look at the rotation, and it's like, God forbid you have days like last night where DeGrom doesn't have it. Then you're looking at a potential 4 or 5 game losing streak because all these other guys stink. There's just a lot more holes than I really kind of envisioned. I know the Syndergaard injury kind of fucked that up, but it's like, couple slow starts on the offense, bad pitching, it's like, oh boy, I can see where this season goes decent. I can see where it goes off the rails too.
Yeah, and the thing with relievers I find is that, like, unless you just have like a couple of guys who are just phenomenal and can pitch back-to-back nights, no problem, all that stuff, it's like you need almost like your tier 2 and 3 guys to at least be passable, because you're going to have to go to them. Because like Lou, like I said, and again, we're recording this on Thursday, so anyone listening on Friday, we don't know what happens. I feel like Lou goes out for the night because he doesn't go back-to-back. We can't have Wilson go because his arm is going to fall off his body, because I feel like he's pitched every goddamn game this season. Right. And then it's like we have Skinny. I did it because I knew you weren't on the podcast last night. I've officially turned my heart over to Skinny Familia. It's placed in a blender. It is currently placed in a blender, but if it was regular Familia, I wouldn't do it. But Skinny Familia, I know what it's like when you lose a few pounds and you feel better. I've now gained those pounds back, and I know what it feels like to feel worse again. So he's still skinny. My faith is in Skinny Familia. This may look very bad by Friday morning. I completely acknowledge that. And
I will guarantee that is an Old Takes Exposed cut right there. Put it in the books. Clem co-signing Familia. I don't care if he comes out looking like the fucking Rock. He is very Familia, okay, bud? Like, we know where that train goes, and it's off the fucking edge of the cliff.
Kyle, this is the point of the clip where you just put all the things he did on Thursday night to the Red Sox, and I just completely start hitting myself in the head for why I just said this on a live podcast that's being recorded.
What is the plan? I mean, I guess they're still just kind of easing into things with Betances, because I feel like we should just try to fucking roll with him and see if he's like as good as he once was for the Yankees, and just be like, well, then that's our guy,
Yeah, that's, I think, so if we want to grade Rojas after a week, I feel like the bullpen has been very spotty so far, and I think last night or Wednesday night was kind of the the part that really drove it home. It felt like it was clearly like, go to Betances now, stop for the. It's very much Scott Proctor with Joe Torre. It's like, stop doing this to just. You can't do this with your lefty too. I've seen too many lefties who are good, and you just rely on them to get the outs. It's like you have to save yourself from yourself. Yep. It's like, just go to Betances there. He had the bridge to it. He didn't do it. So again, this is a very dad thing to argue about bullpens, but it's like it literally changes the entire game every single time out. And that's what's so frustrating. You get through those first 6 innings or whatever, and then you get to the bridge and it all falls apart, and your entire night, my entire day has been ruined by a bunch of strangers down in Queens who don't even know I exist right now.
Normalcy, man. Nature is healing.
Normalcy.
I did like seeing that we staged a little comeback. It was then kind of like dashed out by the fact that like our corpse bodies couldn't follow through and finish the job. But in years gone by, that game's fucking over. We go out silent little mouses.
Yes.
The fact that they even staged the rally, plated one, put a little fear into them. Like I said, equally as ruined, as high as I was, like, hey, you know what? These guys are doing it. And then it's like, oh, nope, our fucking, horrible albatross contracts couldn't get the job done. But at least there is like the hope that, there's no lead too big or whatever. We can always come back. If that's the case, that would be – I mean, I know that my mom used to always talk about that. My dad used to always talk about that. My dad's not a baseball fan, but he would always kind of laugh. Like, he'd always be like, I would always say to your mom, like, we can go now. The Mets, like, this game's over. And the Mets would always find a way to come back. That's why they're the amazing Mets, talking about, like, the 80s and shit. And I find that to be like, there's no better – it's the anti-having a bad bullpen. Like, having a bad bullpen is like the worst thing that can happen to you. Having like a comeback kid team where it's like it just doesn't matter what kind of start you get off to, they're going to score a bunch and be in the mix. It's such a luxury to have.
We always say, like, I can't imagine living life without like caring about sports or caring about the Mets. I can't imagine living with people that live and die with the Mets and not caring about the Mets. It must just be like living in a crack den. You don't do crack. You've never done crack your time. He just sees your poor dad sees you and your brother and your mom just dying, just fucking like jabbing themselves with needles nonstop. And he's just like, what are you guys doing there?
My son, they're always like, this is the worst thing that ever happened to this family with the New York Mets. Like, we can't take it. Like, you're right. You're fucking right. And you guys are they're like the ones that got out of the hood. Like, I'm still in the ghetto. Like, they got out. I'm like, they just dodged the biggest bullet ever with their brains and their hearts just not caring about it.
I think we also need to like come up with an official nickname for Yo and Cano. Like it's like the rock and sock connection, like the yuck and suck connection or something like that. Like just two guys that you just come to them. And the thing is, Yo, he also hit the bomb last night, and you get like those flutters with Yo. Yo does something good, it makes me happy.
Right.
Cano does something good, I'm like, well, it's about fucking time, asshole. So it's a very tricky situation there. But I do feel like those are going to be the two guys that haunt us with the bats in the field and whatever the fuck they can't do. JD messes up in the field. Dom messes up in the field. They're just victims of circumstance, right? And Nimmo in center field. I have been a pro Nimmo guy for like the pro Nimmo voice of the podcast because he did it last night. He like works the count, gets on base, runs the first in the ninth, and Workman was like that fucking hardo asshole. He's grinning at me right now, and it gets in their heads. I honestly believe that. But if this guy can't like run backwards in center field to catch a ball, that's another thing with Ross. We have to figure out our defense. Like we've just put the guys in the best places because their gloves are not good enough to make up for it at any point.
Well, what was interesting? It's one of the cockiest things I've heard in a long time. When Steve Gelb said that DeGrom tells his outfield to play shallow because he'd rather them be able to cover the bloop single. That's basically saying, like, listen, bro, they ain't going to hit it over your head. And if they do, tip your cap because it's only going to happen a couple times a game, maybe. So play shallow because I got this. So fucking cocky. But then on the flip side, you also got to be able to help your brother out and actually, track a ball backwards for a change. He's a disaster. Third's going to be tough. Left field will be a revolving door of mediocrity. Second base is going to be terrible.
You're just naming the entire goddamn time.
Like right field, shortstop, and I guess catcher are like adequate, but question mark at first, question mark at third, old man at second, revolving doors slop in left field, total disaster in center field. I mean, that's the reality of the situation.
They say like I don't know if it's Stick Michael or whatever. Like you build or some scout. It might have been up the middle, Branch Rickey. I don't know who the fuck said it, but like that's where you build your team. And we just always have just complete question marks and chaos. I will say our boy Jimenez yesterday, Jimmy, fucking everyone was loving the Jimmy. Is he the Jimmy? Do we call him the Jimmy?
I think that was the first thing that came to me, Jimmy. So I mean. I'll take it. What is he like? He's like Iverson out there. He's like 5'9", $165. But yeah, I mean, that players like that are fine as like a scrappy replacement, late innings, spark plug. You can't be relying on Jimmy for anything major. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't think he was supposed to even make the roster. No one really thought he was actually going to make it. It was such a shock when he actually made it. I do kind of like how he gets the hit, then immediately gets picked off first. We had our boy Peterson gives up a hit, guy gets thrown out at second. Like everyone's debuts are just fucking. We're in the upside down right now, and nothing fucking makes sense anyway. Which, by the way, number 5 starter Peterson officially. So the grab bag is just now the pitchers. We don't know what we're getting between basically 2 through 5 any given time, but we know what is in the grab bag.
Who will be there? Yeah. At least for now. I mean, subject to change, right?
Subject to change.
But the upside down season continues. We'll see if this is a split or a series win for the Mets, and then we'll keep it rolling to the weekend. God willing, Marlins willing, and baseball willing. So until then, gotta
believe.